2 snack packs and a can on the table. 2 snack packs and a can on the table. What?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, BBs. It's too early.
It sure is.
Welcome to the first, best, and only morning show in existence. I'm Anthony Carboni.
And I'm Saige Ryan.
And I'm already 2 snack packs in, so that should tell you where we're going.
with a can on the table.
2 snack packs and a can on the table. 2 snack packs and a can on the table. 2 snack packs and a can on the table. 2 snack packs and a can on the table. What a can on the table. What a can on the table. What a can on the table. What?
Morning.
Hey, you know how we went to Super Nintendo World?
Yes, I do.
I wanted to show the BBs something.
Okay. I came to Super Nintendo World with Anthony for like 2 hours. So I missed a lot of stuff.
We never got to ride Mario Kart. So we rode Mario Kart.
We literally just went and rode Mario Kart. That's all I did. Oh, no, that's not true. We'll tell the story of what else we did, but.
Sure. But after Saige left, I got to go to the Toad Cafe.
I wanted to go. The reservation was too late.
And it was lovely. And they have fine silverware and plateware and dishware. And I got good china for when guests come from the Toad Cafe.
So they sell it in the cafe?
Yeah, these are the plates that you actually eat on at the cafe. Hold on.
You steal them? Oh. Yeah, it's doing. Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Ooh. You can hear the plastic.
Yeah, it's quality. It's for when guests come.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, it's...
Sorry, I just saw something very funny. In the live studio audience, Wolf of Herkheimer said, sorry about being late, but I had to watch the full clip from Twitter. No, that was the correct choice.
That was the correct choice.
Yeah, it's okay.
That was the correct choice. Somebody also asked, somebody said that, Saige, that your jacket is really nice. And
yeah?
They were wondering if maybe like a really cool best friend got it for you.
Yeah? They were talking about my, like...
Crab walk. 2 snack packs and a can on the table. 2 snack packs and a can on the table. 2 snack packs and a can on the table. 2 snack. Okay, bye.
I'm supposed to see the back of my hair today. Sometimes you got to do it. That's what I do for my job. Anyways, hey guys, good morning.
So yeah, we took a second trip to Nintendo World. I got so many more stamps and coins.
So we were only there for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Not
me.
No. Kaylee and I were there for a short amount of time with you.
Yeah.
And we knew.
And then I walked away and I couldn't find them. And they made announcements over the speaker. They said, does this boy, where's this boy's parents? Where are this boy's dads? They said. And you were gone. You drove away. You abandoned me.
Look, okay, when you're getting onto the Mummy ride, there's always a sign, and this is a very, very niche Universal Studios Hollywood reference. There's a sign that says child swap.
Child switch. The child switch room.
The child switch room.
Yeah.
That's where I left Anthony.
They swapped me.
I left Anthony in the child switch room.
They found a cooler looking child.
Yeah. Hey, that kid had sunglasses on.
The kid had, and it was like,
yeah.
Kid was like.
Anyways, so in that short amount of time, we knew we wanted just to go on Mario Kart. That was the only like priority of this. But then we were like, okay, well, we've got time for one more thing because we were front of the line for the Mario Kart ride because we have friends that work at the park.
No big deal.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of underpaid friends in the service industry.
Ooh. Hey, shout out. Thanks, Arlene. We love you.
Thank you. Pay her more. Pay them more, please.
So we were walking out and we were like, what else has a short wait time? Transformers. I had never been on the Transformers ride at Universal Studios. So we were like, okay, we'll stop in. And everybody was like, no, it's really cool. It's really cool. Like, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah. It's pretty, and it is pretty good. And it was a short line.
I would know.
Yeah.
You see, I wouldn't know because what happened was
we got in line. We got fancy Mario sodas. And then we got in line, and there are two things that I forgot about the Transformers ride. Number one, the queue is nothing but sirens. Like, the idea is the Decepticons are attacking, and you're part of a government agency that's going to help the Autobots. And so you're running through this government facility while there's just sirens and flashing red lights.
And men yelling.
And and it's all about you're joining the military.
Yeah.
Hated it.
It's literally just like military bros on the TV yelling at you.
And then in front of us, we had the teens, the most pure distilled form of teenage boy there could be in a line. As we were walking through, they were trying to slap everything that was in slapping distance.
One of them tried to rip a set piece off of the wall and almost succeeded.
Just the most teen to ever, just trying to, like, yelling and screaming among the sirens, trying to vandalize things and slap each other in the nuts while screaming.
And they were like oversized teenagers in that, like, they were all very tall and they had like, it was like, where like
they were value-sized teens.
It's that point in teenage boys where they're the size of adults, but then when they open their mouth, you're like, oh, you're 12.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Weird oversized teens where I'm like, I expect you to act like an adult.
I never had that. Listen, I hear that there's another secret growth spurt when you're 30 or 40.
Yeah.
And that's the one that just.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. And then I'll be the big boy who doesn't get left at the child switch. So we're waiting in this horrible line.
The kid I took was actually pretty tall.
Yeah, it's a pretty tall kid and he had cool sunglasses. Yeah. So we finally get up to the top, and it wasn't a long line. It was like 20 minutes, something like that.
Felt like forever.
It felt like forever. And they did, because it was a military themed ride, like most of the ride lines at theme parks are just full of fun stuff. Like, oh, look at these neat little things and fun little props. And I feel like I'm in the world. This was a secret government installation. So it was like being locked in the stairwell of my apartment complex.
It sucked. But while being yelled, it's when the fire alarm goes off in your apartment building.
Yes, and Dagger's just doing this. So we get on the ride.
Finally.
And the ride starts out pretty decently.
But we were also very excited because we were like, please don't put us with those boys. Please don't put us with those boys. And we got a separate car. We were not with the boys. And we were like, fuck yeah, this is going to own.
Yeah, we were either like, they're either in the front of our car or we are in the front of the very next car. Please let us be in the front.
Please.
So we got in the car. It was fine. The ride starts, and it's one of those, like, it's not an old ride, but it's one of the older ones there. It's like one of those mid-modern rides that's a lot of 3D glasses, and they use a lot of centrifugal force to make it feel like you're going like a long distance. The whole idea is
you're traveling from screen to screen to screen, and there's not a lot in between them.
Yeah, and as you travel, it's like, and then you get in front of a screen, and it pretends like you're driving fast, and it has 3D projections, and it's all very cool until the ride breaks down.
And then it's actually not very cool at all.
Or it's even cooler.
Two options presented themselves.
Yeah.
One was true.
Yeah.
It was not very cool at all. But the first thing that happened was the audio went out. So the screen was still moving at the time, and we were still moving, but it was silent in there. So you would just hear the like loud mechanical noises of the thing moving you around.
Yeah, where initially it was the loud mechanical noises of Michael Bay's Transformers.
Correct. So it takes a minute to realize that the sound has gone out. And I was like, is this part of it? I've not been on it. And then the screen stops. And we're like hanging over, in the ones that have the projections a lot of the time, it's almost like there's like the big screen and there's all the ones parked in front of it in different areas that you can't see each other. You get a cubby. We're parked in our cubby for a good 5 minutes.
Good 5. We're texting our friend
who works at the park.
The one who helped us out on the Mario Kart line. And they were like, what part are you caught in? And we're like, oh, I don't know. We were just on a chase and blah, blah. And they're like, if it's the part with Starscream, they might need the fire department to get you off of this ride.
And it wasn't. We were like, whew, thank goodness. And then we started moving again.
Yeah.
And then we got stuck right at the spot after Starscream grabs you.
Right. And we're like, oh no.
Exactly the spot they described to us. Exactly the spot. And we were just like, this is fucking it. This is it.
This is the end of the day.
This is it. And literally, like, Kaylee and I were leaving the park to go to a meeting, and we were like, we're going to have to either take a meeting on the Transformers ride or say, I'm sorry, we're stuck on the Transformers ride.
Take a meeting on the Transformers ride. That's a power move. We were on the middle of the Transformers ride at Universal Studios, and then we were like, oh no, our meeting. So we had them shut down the ride so we could take this call. We just want you to know, we need to do this kind of quick. We need to sign this deal because there's some kids in the back that want to see Optimus Prime. So it looked a couple times like they had fixed it, and we were going to start again. And then it was clear that they could not fix whatever was broken, but the cars could move. So what we got was a fully lit, non-3D, no projection, no sound simulator ride. It was like when your kid's playing theme park or race car with a box. It was like our friends were pushing us as fast as they could to get us down a hill.
Yeah.
We had no immersion.
It feels so much weirder.
There was a part where like they pushed us through like 3 rooms, and then it looked like the ride was going to start again, and the whole thing started up again. And I just screamed out, I don't have any context. What's the story? I've missed 3 rooms. Every
once in a while, we'd get another like 30 seconds of the like screens playing, and then they would be like, nah, can't do it. And then they'd put us back through. I
want you to know that we had a friend in from out of town that had never been to Universal before. And they were like, when that ride broke down, I literally looked at them and said, hey, we're lucky this is just the first one that's broken down today.
Yeah.
Usually, Universal Studios is a visit to Universal Studios is about how many rides break down.
Yeah, you got usually about a 50-50.
Yeah, it's not about how many rides you ride. It's how many rides you get on that don't just absolutely shit the bed.
Yeah, for instance, the reason we hadn't been on the Mario Kart ride, even though we've been before at a Super Nintendo World, is because the Mario Kart ride broke 3 times the last time we were there, and we kept getting back in line, and it kept breaking again.
Yeah, now that was before they had adjusted the ride for the average American weight.
Was that really?
Yeah. So what happened? I found that there were huge headlines about this. We went during the the Cast and Friends preview, and what happened was they brought the ride over basically unmodified from Japan, which is why the carts feel a little small or a little tight, is because they made it for the average sized Japanese person who is a little smaller and a little lighter than the average American. The maximum weight per rider for the Japanese version of the Mario Kart ride is 180 pounds. Do you know what the average weight of an American is? No. 180 pounds.
Wow.
So the high limit of that ride was the average American weight. So they had to fix that.
Yeah, of course they did. I can't believe they didn't think of that fucking earlier.
Yeah. So we rode Mario Kart. It worked.
And it was awesome.
It was awesome. We rode Transformers, it broke down, but as we were getting out of Transformers, because it broke down, they gave us all special boy passes. They said, you're a special little guy. Everybody gets to go skip a line. It was like a fast pass, basically. Yeah. And then y'all had to leave.
Yeah.
So we took all the fast passes. Yeah. And we rode everything, and everything broke down.
Yeah, what else broke down?
The Mummy broke down.
Really?
Right at the end.
Okay,
so we literally broke down when we could see the exit. So we kind of lucked out there. Then we went on Jurassic World. Jurassic World broke down a couple times while we were on it. Just one of those quick stops where it's like, sorry, like it automatically started playing the error noise for a couple minutes each. We went on.
What else is there?
We went on Minions.
You did?
Yeah.
I've never been.
It's just the old Jimmy Neutron ride or Hanna-Barbera ride, but they put a new movie to it, and that movie is Minions. So it's a room full of like simulators. It's like the simulator carts.
I don't remember a Jimmy Neutron ride.
Yeah.
And that would be well timed with me being a child at Universal Studios.
Yeah.
Because Jimmy Neutron was like a cartoon of my childhood.
That was the thing. Dude, so it broke down.
Okay.
And then we went and we watched the Kung Fu Panda adventure movie, which couldn't break down because it was a movie.
That used to be Shrek 4D.
Right. And then we couldn't go to Waterworld because it was too late.
One of my favorite things is walking around theme parks and being like, so this used to be this. And that used to be that. The Mummy was E.T.
That's right. And E.T. would try to say your name at the end of the ride. So you would in the beginning, they would ask you what your name was. And then at the end, the idea was E.T. would say, goodbye, your name here. Just like, you know, in the movie where he says goodbye to Elliot. And it's supposed to be a big deal.
It was a big fucking deal.
That motherfucker couldn't say but 3 names, I think.
Yeah.
That Anthony is not an uncommon name.
No.
My sister's name is Amanda. Not an uncommon name.
We had to write my name without the I in it when we'd go.
Yeah.
So it was more readable.
So it was just the word Saige. Yeah. So we would go through and be like, goodbye, Anthony. And I was like, nah, E.T., you're drunk. And then it would be like, goodbye, Amanganga. And it was like, Amanganga? Amanganga?
It's my favorite Pokemon.
It evolves into Mangangor.
Yeah.
And then Mangangus. And the only one it would ever get right is my dad's name is Bob. And he hates to be like, but he wants to be called Robert. But
E.T. can't say Robert.
E.T. can't say Robert, so he would put in Bob, and he'd just be like, see kids, E.T. knows me.
So shitty.
So shitty.
Fucking rude.
It's so rude of my dad. What else? Oh, we went to The Simpsons, but we didn't ride the ride because, listen, The Simpsons ride
will make you throw up.
They need this oil can. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oil can. But we went to the Simpsons store because my friend wanted a Bort name tag.
Nice. Yeah.
They were all sold out of Bort.
Damn. All out of Bort.
All out of Bort. They came there to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and they're all out of Bort.
I walked Kaylee around because before we met up with you, we went to the Minions Cafe. So we both had a Minion experience.
Just a nice little gem of a restaurant. If you're ever in the LA area and you want like a quiet little bistro.
Now, you can always identify it because if you head on the 101, there's actually a giant Minion that overlooks our freeway here.
Truly, there's a giant Minion that stares at you.
I'm not joking, and I'm not doing the LA freeway bit. Truly, when you're in Los Angeles, one of our like main freeways has a giant fucking Minion overlooking the freeway from Universal.
I have no context for Minion other than old person memes. I've never seen a Minion. I've never seen Despicable Me.
Yeah.
We were trying, my friend and I were trying to, we were doing that thing where it's like, okay, we've never seen Minions. What do you think Minions is about? What do you think the idea of Minions? And it's pretty easy.
Have you seen Despicable Me?
No.
Okay.
I've never seen any of it. But I get it. It's you know, it's little guys and they love bananas and fart jokes, and it's a villain and he adopts kids and he has a heart.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, and then they do 9 of them. They do 9 of them, and like all 9 of them are on the top 10 grossing animated films of all time.
Yeah.
So clearly this is a thing. This is a huge thing, not to me, but to the world.
Right.
And we get on the Minions ride, and they're just like trying to explain Minion to us. And the whole deal with the Minions ride is you get turned into a Minion.
Okay.
It's a Minionizer ray.
Sure.
And then you're like going through Minion training, and it's like, it's basically Fall Guys, but with minions.
That's kind of cute.
But it's not interactive. You're just watching.
Okay.
And they're, the number of fart and banana jokes, I'm telling you.
Just those two.
Just farts,
really alternating between
farts
the two.
and bananas all the way down, and then he loves his kids. I don't get it. I do not understand it. No one could ever explain a Minion to me.
That's fair. And I wouldn't dare try.
Do you know they're huge in Japan?
Yeah.
They're like everywhere.
They're huge everywhere.
They're huge everywhere.
But they're like massive in Japan.
They're massive. Oh, Japan loves a Minion.
Yeah.
They love it. Oh, banana. They love that.
Yeah.
When a Minion goes banana, which they do.
Yeah, they do. All the way down. That's very fun. The Minions Cafe, genuinely, hey, it had no wait at a theme park restaurant. So I'll fucking take it.
Was it loud and obnoxious?
No.
Oh.
It wasn't. There was like no one in there and the music was quiet. It was great. But I walked Kaylee around and I did the dorkiest like California local thing of like doing the like, so this used to be this and this used to be that, because we used to have a Nickelodeon water park.
Yep.
It fucking owned.
We didn't have the water park. We had Nickelodeon Studios.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And we had a studio tour where you could get slimed.
So we had the Nickelodeon water park. We had a Wild Thornberries like ball pit house where you could like shoot balls out of giant guns at other children.
The Nickelodeon presence was huge for a while.
It was huge and it fucking owned. Look up videos of the Wild Thornberries attraction at Universal Studios Hollywood. But we also had, and this is the part that always makes me laugh, we had a Coca-Cola water park as well. where all of the water came out of like giant Coke bottles.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny.
And it was filled with corn syrup for the children.
Like, it's just so funny to me, the ways that we used to like even more egregiously advertise to children.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was a thing at Epcot too that was sodas of the world, and it was presented by Coca-Cola because Coca-Cola owned all of these weird sodas from foreign countries, where it's like, wow, it's really cool that like Coca-Cola has this thing where you can try like the grass flavored soda from wherever.
Sure.
And it's like, well, that's because Coca-Cola owns everything.
Yeah.
They want you to try the soda.
Live Serial said the first time I went to Universal Orlando after Nick Studios left and was replaced by the Blue Man Group was so depressing.
Yeah, that was a weird time. Well, I remember when Universal Studios opened, I was a very small boy. It was this big.
Before your growth spurt.
Before my first growth spurt. My second one will turn me into a kaiju, the one that you hit at 30 or 40. And so I remember that the Jimmy Neutron ride was originally the Fantastic World of Hanna-Barbera.
Okay.
Where Yogi Bear had a spaceship and he would take you through the Hanna-Barbera characters. Mm-hmm. Then it turned into Jimmy Neutron when Nickelodeon did the big takeover. The Simpsons ride used to be Back to the Future.
Yes, which owned.
And
didn't make you want to throw up.
And Springfield used to be the Amityville Carnival.
Yep.
From Jaws.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like re-theming going on. I love theme park history.
We both love theme parks.
Hey,
anyways.
This is a video game news show.
Why don't we get invited to more theme parks?
Hey, probably because we just spent a lot of time trashing a theme park. Oh. You got invited to a theme park.
I got invited to a theme park.
Or you got invited to a fancy theme park.
Got invited to Disney World.
That's right.
It was great.
Folks, this is a video game news show.
You want to talk about video games?
Let's talk about video game news.
Okay.
PlayStation showcase today at 1 p.m. Pacific time, a few hours after we end this show.
Rude.
Very rude. Once again, video game publishers, just call us. Just give us a little heads up. Just Tuesdays, Thursdays, perfect time to have a showcase. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, if you're going to do it around like 8 or 9 a.m. Eastern time. Yeah. That'd be lovely for us.
Yeah.
You know, but these Monday, Wednesday afternoon showcases.
Bullshit.
Absolutely terrible. It's very rude for us and our place in the algorithm. But it is coming today. There are a lot of predictions. You know, first of all, we have hot off the heels of Insomniac confirming that Spider-Man 2 will not be co-op. I do have a feeling we're going to see a lot of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way we're not going to see a lot of Spider-Man 2.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Please show me a lot of Spider-Man 2.
I wish you were showing me Peter and Miles 2-player together.
Oh, I wish you were.
Now, of course, that entire rumor came from one of the voice actors who was at a panel, like an anime, like at an anime convention, and somebody just asked them some general Spider-Man game questions, and they were like, I don't know. I mean, I think it might be like that. They haven't announced anything, and that basically turned into
and like
Spider-Man voice actor confirms 2-player.
They don't tell most voice actors shit.
Yeah.
They don't tell them shit. Half the time they record a video game and they don't know what it is until it's like coming out.
They only know their own lines from their own scenes a lot of times.
Yeah. A lot of the time it is a fake title that they're given. They don't fucking know what game they're in.
Matt Martin from the Lucasfilm Story Group revealed on Twitter the other day that light Jedi Survivor spoilers, but not really. They talk about the path. And the actors, when they were initially recording, were not allowed to call it the path. They had to call it Muni Metro.
Muni Metro?
So they had to talk about the Jedi going underground and trying to survive on the Muni Metro.
Why Muni Metro?
I don't know. I was like, that's the worst code name you can have.
Oh, holding. Holding for bless. Holding for bless. All right, welcome back.
Thank you. So, we're very excited to see more Spider-Man 2. But, you know, on top of Spider-Man 2, what about that Wolverine?
I'd love to see something about Wolverine.
If Insomniac is showing us a little something, maybe we get another little teaser of that Wolverine.
Show me a little something from Wolverine.
Because, of course, these are the showcases that are sort of taking the place of E3. So you would expect there to be some larger announcements.
Yeah.
I would expect to hear some sort of update potentially about Wolverine.
Right. Here's hoping. And hey, if you don't watch the showcase today, that's okay, because we'll talk to you about it on Friday.
That's right. People are saying, of course, we're going to see some more of the next Final Fantasy, a couple Final Fantasies. But the first one, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I'm sure we're going to see.
We gotta.
I think it's going to be a very Final Fantasy heavy showcase.
I feel like most PlayStation showcases are.
Yeah, I feel like this one is going to have some Rebirth to show, and then Square Enix is going to show off some Final Fantasy XVI. We have a lot more about Final Fantasy XVI coming up in just a moment because reviewers just got to get their hands on it for about 5 hours. They have a lot of things to say, but one of the things that they dropped was that there's going to be a demo available before release. Now, release is June 22nd. So I would expect tomorrow, if we don't get, and the demo is out today, we will get a date for that demo.
Yeah. I think a demo release
would be great.
Yeah.
And it would make a lot of sense. It would get some hype up. It would take a little bit of, they need to take a little bit of the light off of Tears of the Kingdom right now for people who like fantasy adventure games.
Right.
So I think a demo would be a great way to do that.
Agreed. I'm very curious about it. How long is it? Did they put out how long the showcase is supposed to be?
I think it's going to be about like 45 minutes, an hour. I'm not sure.
All right.
Of course, we're going to see, I think, The Last of Us multiplayer. The industry are calling it, people in the industry are calling it The Last of Us Factions because there's no release title for it yet.
Yeah.
Not a lot of public details about it yet. It's hard to gauge whether people are excited for this. I'm not particularly interested in it. To me, The Last of Us is more about story and world than it is about groundbreaking gameplay.
It is. So I'm wondering what that's going to be like. It's hard for me to form an opinion on it until we see a little bit more about it. Because I think there's a world where they could, but it would be very different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not heavily similar then to The Last of Us, The Last of Us 2. Which could be fine. I could be into that.
Yeah, I think, it would be very easy to make if this factions thing that people are calling it is any sort of good indicator. I mean, a team-based multiplayer shooter survivor thing, like, could be very good, and it could have the name of the franchise without having to have the feel of the franchise. I know Naughty Dog just hired up heavily for this, a lot of people from outside. And to me, that's good because when I think of Naughty Dog, I don't think of tight shooting gameplay.
A lot of people in the chat are saying that they had played the multiplayer in the first game. I never played it personally. That there was like a factions mode in the first game that people really loved.
Yeah.
And that's great. I just wonder, like, I guess I'm just curious because I didn't play it. How do you do something that is like a, co-op or team-based, shooter survival game without genericizing The Last of Us? Because like what makes The Last of Us special isn't zombie shooting by any means.
No, I think, if you have something that's like Fireflies versus, some other survivors and things I think that can be fun. I'm curious as well. I mean, I know that the first factions had fans. I know that the Uncharted multiplayer modes had fans, but I always felt like that was a smaller community. And I wonder, as a larger standalone commercial product, how that's going to be.
I'm excited. I like all games better multiplayer.
Yeah, that's fair. A lot of people are saying PSVR is going to have some sort of big reveal. Buddy, I think if they had anything in the pocket for PSVR, they would have let us know already.
Yeah.
PSVR is not doing super well. And I think if there were guns to blaze, they would have come out blazing them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope that there's something that they've been hiding, but it seems wild that they would be hiding it. I would think that they would want to be juicing those sales as quickly as possible. What else are people? I mean, obviously Mortal Kombat 1 is coming out, so we might see a little bit of Mortal Kombat 1. PlayStation does host a lot of Mortal Kombat tournaments and live events on their channel. So I would expect maybe some of that. I don't know. I mean, look, I just, what else could there be? Oh, people are talking about how there might be a Metal Gear remake, but I don't think that's true because Konami would have to be on board with that and Kojima, and I just don't think that's going to happen. I think we will probably see some Death Stranding too.
I'm going to be honest. The only thing, I sat there and I stared at this and I was like, okay, well, we got some predictions for it. There's not a single thing that I want from this other than Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The rest are great and I love that for you, but none of the rest of it are things that I am looking forward to or excited to play particularly.
Yeah, that's fair.
They all look like they'll be fun and that's great. But as you know, the realities of like what I'm going to turn on my PlayStation for.
It's tough to get her to turn on that PlayStation.
Tough. And it's really just Spider-Man. That's about it.
It's tough. And it's not because she doesn't like PlayStation. It's just she'd have to plug it in.
I'd have to plug it in.
She'd have to turn it on.
I'd probably have to move it. It's big.
There'd have to be updates.
There's always so many updates because I wait so long in between. Oh, God. There'd be a lot of updates.
Man, one thing I've seen PlayStation pushing a lot on their channel, their YouTube channel, is the Cosmic Smash remake, which me and 3 other people are excited for.
Yeah.
And man, they're pushing it hard. And I just feel like, everybody, please play Cosmic Smash. If you have a PSVR 2, I know this is very few of you, but if you have a PSVR 2, I mean, you'll probably buy it anyway because there aren't any games for your PSVR 2.
Do any of you have a PSVR 2? Let us know. I'm very curious, actually.
Let us know. Hey, let us know.
I know it's being very loud. I'm going to take it off.
I do want to talk about this Final Fantasy XVI.
Yeah, there's the early previews have come out.
Yep. Early previews have come out. A lot of people got this hands-on.
But the embargoes are very specific for it, you can tell. There's a lot of stuff that they can't say in these reviews, which is very interesting.
But that said, the things that people are saying, very interesting to me. GameSpot had their hands on and said the same thing that Game Informer said. And I like that these two are saying the same thing, which is the game feels finished. One of the things that Game Informer said in particular was when you're in this industry for a long time, you can tell when you're playing something that's what they call a vertical slice. The vertical slice is like, it's not a real chunk of the game, but it is what you could expect from the game. They've put together a level or an area or a demo that sort of shows off everything they want to show off about the game. And what these people are saying is this does not feel like we were playing vertical slices. This does not feel pieced together. This feels like a completed and polished game.
Very good sign.
And maybe one of the most polished games that they've done in a long time. One of the other things that they've said is Square Enix has said no day one patch. The game's done. They won't need a day one patch. It's running well. Everything you're playing is going to look like this, is what they were saying.
Yeah.
We don't need it. We've been working on it long enough, and it's good. So what people were saying were they played about 6 hours, and they got to play like a lot of the different stuff. There's this thing where they're called Acons, where basically people can turn into creatures that were previously like summons in Final Fantasy, like Ifrits and Phoenixes and stuff. And when you turn into one of these Acons, it turns into a different type of game. And so they say in the opening, you actually turn into a Phoenix, and then it turns into like an on-rails shooter. Kind of like a Panzer Dragoon thing.
Okay.
And they said it was like incredibly fun to play. They said the Ifrit one plays completely different. Then they said that they played a few hours in the opening of like a story. Yes, there's an Acon right there. All on the floor. And they said they played like a really intense story mode. They said one of the things that everybody is saying is tonally, this game feels like Square has been watching Game of Thrones.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, like they wanted to feel more grounded. They said they're not specifically going after violence or sex. That's not what it's about. Which
makes sense. It would be weird if they did.
It would be weird if they did, but they do have much more violence than they've ever had, and much more graphic violence than they've ever had in the battles.
A lot of the reviews in there described things like, oh, they didn't hold back with this story. Because obviously, once again, there's like these embargoes. So none of these reviews really have spoilers in them. For the most part, there's very little story talked about in this. There's a lot of hints at it, of it being darker, it being a heavier story, it going a little more in depth, it being very fleshed out, and it not holding back.
Yeah, which I think is very exciting. They say that from a Vici 24/7 says from a fit and finish perspective, quality is no longer a question. The first 2 hours of content that they played is the game's prologue. And that's going to be what's in the demo. So everybody's going to get to play this first 2 hours. And in the prologue, you play a younger version of Clive, who is Final Fantasy XVI's protagonist. And you get some of like the day-to-day life events that unfold before he becomes dark, broody, square hero man. And basically, like, you get to see a character developing story scene. You get to see big action sets. You get to see some of that new brutality. You get to go into a mission with temporary party member NPCs. So, you know, like
Temporary.
who are not named Biggs and Wedge, killing a Final Fantasy tradition. How dare you?
I like this review. Don't worry, the game is inspired by good seasons of Game of Thrones, but also references other properties like Attack on Titan.
Yeah, I think this is going to be very interesting. I'm excited to see what they're going to do to this. What they're saying is that what VG 24/7 said is everybody should play this demo. Everybody should play it. Whether you think you're interested in Final Fantasy 16 or not, you should play this demo because it's different enough from other Final Fantasies where you might be interested in it. And it's going to give you a really good idea of whether you're going to love this game. They say the combat is more Devil May Cry than anything else. It feels very character action. There's like a boss battle where you have sort of some of these like, you know, things that are timed to music and like all of the, you know, and it feels very like Devil May Cry action oriented, like old school character action, which I think is very interesting for Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
I like it more than I could not. The one thing, as much as I love Final Fantasy 15, as much as I love my beautiful magical car road trip with my beautiful magical boys, I loved that part of it. The classically Kingdom Hearts style semi-action gameplay is not for me. The sort of like, if you're holding a button, they're attacking and you don't like tap for your combos or that sort of stuff where it's like it's not menu based anymore, but it's a little menu based. That stuff is sort of not for me. But I do love the idea of more one-to-one action.
Yeah.
I felt like Final Fantasy 15, as much as I loved it, it took me a few hours before it didn't feel awkward to me because of that weird combat. And I think that came from just a fear that people wouldn't jump to an all-action Final Fantasy. But I think that the remakes have shown that people are very, very, very into that. So 16 should be interesting.
Very interesting.
Flannel Fries in the live studio audience says we need a new Kingdom Hearts. And buddy, I just got rid of my migraine from the last Kingdom Hearts. Give me another couple years.
Damn, man.
Listen. When Mickey Mouse is on the Sea of the Dead explaining existentialism to a child, you know what I mean? Like, I just needed a minute. I need a minute.
Just need a minute.
I do also want to say that Clive has a dog that goes with you into battle.
Very cute.
Clive has a dog. So Final Fantasy 16.
Final Fantasy 16, everybody.
Final Fantasy 16, you can pet the dog.
A lot of people were referencing some problematic story points in it. I'm not familiar enough with this Final Fantasy 16 story. I've never played a Final Fantasy.
Oh, listen, if you can name a Final Fantasy without a problematic thing in it, I will give you a cookie. That's a promise.
And Anthony does not share his cookies lightly.
No, I do not. And of course, this one, you know, one of the things that people were talking about was the sort of Eurocentrism of their fantasy, their high fantasy that they decided to do, which feels very weird, releasing a few weeks after Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, when it's just like, no, it's all kinds of people. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you just have all kinds of people?
Maybe it doesn't have to look like this.
Maybe you could just whatever.
Feels weird.
And of course, they gave the time-honored classic answer of, well, you know, in that time period, we were trying to be we were trying to be accurate to the time period. The time period, I guess, of Final Fantasy XVI, which isn't real.
Well, back in the time period, I made up.
Back in the time period, I made up. Which also, like, if you're trying to say back in medieval times or the Middle Ages of Europe, and you're saying that's what it looked like, you're also revising history. There were many, many types of people in Europe in the Middle Ages, and just because they weren't written about or remembered doesn't mean they weren't there.
How interesting. You're right, exactly. C. Dandino said, in your historically accurate time of magic and dragons.
Yes. The historically accurate time where you turn into a phoenix.
Yeah.
And fire fireballs at people.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of fireballs.
Magic missile. Fireball, magic missile.
Yeah?
Let's roll
for each missile.
Let's go LARP.
Yeah?
Yeah. Let's go to one of those like old school when they would post videos of LARPs on the internet and it's dudes throwing beanbags at each other as fireballs.
Okay. You don't want to go to one of like the big fancy modern LARPs.
No, I want to go to an old school, like this is a YMCA camp that's down for a week in the fall.
BBs, find us a little LARP.
Let's find a little LARP.
Don't say twin mask. Everyone knows twin mask. That's too fancy.
Find us a little LARP.
All right. Anyways, so speaking of Dungeons and Dragons, it's very interesting because this took up a huge portion of the news in IGN because they got like a early access preview. They got to like sit down with WotC this week for some things that is kind of like a collection of information that has pretty much all come out. Mm-hmm. But essentially what they got is an entire rundown of all of the expansions coming in 2023 for D&D.
Okay.
Which is a fuck ton.
It's a lot.
There's so many fucking books coming in 2023. Personally, I find that very exciting, but I also understand that some people are overwhelmed by that. They feel the need to keep up, and then keeping up is expensive. It's particularly expensive when they are raising the price of the books by 20%.
Woof.
Books will cost 20% more starting this year, going to $59.95 instead of $49.95. And this has been a very interesting conversation, kind of like there always is. There's no middle of the road on people with Wizards of the Coast anymore. No. We've run into a time.
We either love what they've done, or they can burn for eternity.
So going on Twitter, I saw WotC was trending yesterday, and I was like, "Oh no,
let's make sure."
Which is always concerning, and it is. It's just unfortunately the community surrounding Dungeons and Dragons often has massive portions of it that are extremely toxic, as a lot of fandoms do. So it was interesting to see a combination of things. There was one side that it was people being like, "Hey, indie publishers can't keep up with D&D's prices. Indie publishers have to charge more for books of that size."
Yeah.
And then people are like, "But my D&D book was only this."
Right.
So there had actually been people.
Because when you print 1 million of something, it costs less per unit than when you print 10,000 of something.
Correct. So there had been a portion of people that were actually apparently calling for this because it's true. Like a lot of the larger hardback indie game books that I've bought in the last year are like $50 to $75.
Yeah. I want to say Spire cost me like that much.
They're around that price range. But again, that makes sense because you do have to print in smaller batches. You have less fancy deals with your publishers. And the other things that cost you more, you can't make up for it in other areas as an indie publisher. So it's a very interesting thing to see where they're like, WotC is throwing off the industry by setting these price standards. And then obviously you've got like the fan base absolutely furious that the prices are raising. Of course, anytime there is a price range, people are going to be furious.
And look, the cost of goods, and this is not me defending Wizards because I'm not going to do that, but
they don't need us to.
They don't need it, but the cost of everything is going up. That's inflation is up. The cost of everything is going up. Yeah. We're going to see this across the board. We just saw this a couple weeks ago, the mini outrage about, Zelda being $70.
Yep.
This is happening. Prices are going up. Cost of living is going up. We are in a capitalist nightmare.
Yeah.
And that means that these things are going to go up. People notice that the 20% raise in physical books does negate sort of their 20% or their 25% discount on D&D Beyond into a 5% discount essentially. And you're right.
Which isn't, that's not correct.
I mean, it's not correct, but I see what they're saying.
I see what you're saying. You're mathing wrong.
Yeah.
That's not how anything works.
Because it's still going to cost you more to get the physical book. You're still getting 25% off, but you're getting 25% off a much higher price.
Yeah. So it is only 20% more on physical books. Currently, the price of digital copies are not changing from what they've been since the D&D Beyond acquisition. But let's take a look at the list of all the new things coming. Oh, there was one other thing when I was scrolling through the Wizards of the Coast trending topic on Twitter. Regrettable. Don't ever do it. There was a bunch of people absolutely fucking popping off, furious that they were releasing books before abandoning 5e. I want to talk about this. Look, we're not ever paid to talk about Wizards of the Coast. It's not a thing. But we do fortunately have people that work there that tell us things. And I went to their creator summit where they told us the whole plan for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Right? So I just want to clear something up. 5e is not going away.
Right.
1D&D is a rules update to 5th edition. All of 5th edition, every 5e book will still be compatible with all of the new books that are coming.
And they've said this publicly.
They've said it over and over and over and over.
They've literally said it publicly that the books you have now, the books they are releasing now, will be fully compatible.
Correct. Because it's not actually they're not even calling it a new edition. Like, we sat there and they were like, we really want to be clear with you guys, it's not a new edition. It's not.
Yeah.
It is a rules update. So the only things that you could even consider potentially incompatible after the new base books come out are your player's handbook and your DM's guide. You can still use the 5e ones. They said it over and over again. It's just some people might be using slightly different rules at this point if you don't have the new PHB.
Right. Their thing is they want to get away, and it behooves them. It's better for them and better for players to get away from editions. It's better to do that.
Yeah.
It's better to make sure that because if you think about this, they're releasing a lot of new content and all the new content is great.
Yeah.
But you know what's better as a company? If all the content you've released over the last 4 decades
can still be bought.
Still can be bought and reprinted and updated and reworked with less labor put in by their designers. If everything works, it'd be great to pull out and dust off an old book and be able to keep playing it.
Yeah. Cass in the live studio audience said, it's not like any version of D&D has ever really gone away, but even more than that, 4th edition is incompatible with my current books, right? 3.5 is incompatible with my books on my shelf.
Yeah.
I cannot mix and match those without a significant amount of work.
Yeah.
They're just going to be compatible. It's literally just going to be more 5e books at the end of the day. And I think maybe calling it something new in an effort to get people excited about a new phase of Dungeons and Dragons, maybe it was a misstep in communication because people were like, but my books. And they're like, yeah, your books. And they're like, but my books.
If they had presented it more from a branding perspective as D&D 1 coming for 5th edition or D&D, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
D&D 1 is coming to
expansion, whatever. So it was very interesting to see people being like, I know, trust me, I have insider knowledge that they're abandoning 5e. They're abandoning this game. And I'm like, you don't. I know that you don't. I know that you don't. I have heard the creators of this game sit down and talk about it. I've had private conversations with them where they talk about it. Yeah.
They're not pranking you, are they?
Oh, do you think that it was goofs?
Do you think they're goofing with you?
Do you think that guy on Twitter knew and that Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford were lying?
Do you think Perkins and Crawford created a creator summit and then hired a bunch of actors, then just had you out to goof you?
Oh my God.
Do you think they're goofing us right now?
Oh my God. Did I get pranked?
Did you get pranked? Are they goofing the show?
Was I there on April 1st?
I remember when I was
second.
I remember going into the comic shops and stuff like that when I was big into comics and didn't know anybody in comics and thinking that your inside guy is the guy that works at the comic shop or the guy that goes to a lot of conventions or the guy that you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's you're hearing rumors upon rumors upon rumors upon rumors. And the difference between now and then is we have the internet where they are coming out and saying, here's how it works. Yeah. Don't worry. Here's why you don't need to be afraid of that.
And the internet's like, I don't believe you.
Now here's a serious thing. And we don't need to drill down into this too much because we want to get to the new and exciting stuff. But is there, based on some decisions that they have made in the last few years, do you think these rumors persist because consumer confidence and trust in them is at a low right now?
I think there's 2 layers to that. One, yes. I do think so. But I think the rumors aren't coming from consumers with low confidence.
Are they coming from inside the house?
They're just giving pranks. It's just
goofs.
It's just Perkins and Crawford on Twitter.
All goofs Crawford.
No, but seriously, I think what it actually is they know that consumer trust is low for Hasbro, Wizards, D&D in general.
Yeah.
And then there are people taking advantage of that. I don't think the majority of the creators that previously had no attention on them, that now suddenly have like a platform and an audience of rage baiting about Wizards of the Coast, I don't think that those people genuinely believe the things that they are saying. No. I think they see an opportunity and are taking it, and I think that people are getting fucking played because of it.
I've watched in every industry I've ever worked in every fandom I've ever been in, I've watched creator-owned media and creator-owned channels turn into rage bait and headline cycle channels very quickly because money views attention.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that on like the basis, like at the basis level, but when you are an independent media creator and you see that a certain type of thing that you make will pay your bills when something else won't. You have a tendency to lean into the things that are going to pay your bills. And then you wind up dealing with a community of people who are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And that becomes its own echo chamber.
And like, here's the other thing that's so silly to me. None of these people are getting their bills paid by it. They're just getting attention. Like, I know how little money there is in Dungeons and Dragons. Like, there's not a lot of money in the entire industry of Dungeons and Dragons content.
Excuse me. We own a shelf with things on it.
Like, trust me, I know.
So do you think that we are not living off of Dungeons and Dragons? That spaceman helmet is real plastic.
I didn't realize it was real plastic. That's okay.
We have to disclose all of this.
Anyways, I think that that's just it. Yeah, it's simply that you've never received this kind of attention before. You got it. You got to hold it. And when the actual and valid outrage died down, they got to find more to keep it.
Yeah.
So anyways.
And unfortunately, sometimes Wizards does provide in that.
Sure. Absolutely.
Sometimes Wizards does provide that for them.
I'm going to say this over and over and over again on the internet. Hasbro is a massive billions of billions dollar corporation and not your friend. Not my friend, not your friend. I'm not here to be a representative for Hasbro. I'm never going to defend billionaires. It won't happen. I don't care. I don't care in the slightest. What I do care about is us having the facts and being real and being upset about the correct things.
That's right.
And Hasbro / Wizards of the Coast / D&D has made plenty of mistakes.
Oh.
The list is not short.
No.
The list is not short.
So we are aware of all of those things.
Just like get upset about the right ones.
Yeah. But.
And I'll be there with you.
Yeah.
Every time.
You don't need to make stuff up. Speaking of which, here's a bunch of stuff that is coming out that is not made up. Let's go.
All right. So the Practically Complete Guide to Dragons, August 15th. Very, very interesting. This is coming out the same day as Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants, which we don't have a...
I think it's right up. Oh, we don't have a thing for it.
No, there's not an image for it.
Yeah.
So those two are coming out on the same day. They've been doing this kind of like back-to-back book release that I think is very interesting. So Giant Demigods is the first one, over 70 stat blocks, 30 new magical items, player options for incorporating giants into a campaign. And then, of course, fucking dragons, dog.
Fucking dragons, dog.
It says this expansion will contain no rules, just dragons and lore. That fucking owns.
I love that.
I love that. I think that that's excellent. Next, we have Fandelver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk. This is coming September 19th.
Look at those little guys.
Very cute.
Look at those little gobby guys.
This one is a traditional fantasy adventure exploring the mystery obelisks found around Faerun. So very exciting. Looking forward to that. And, you alternate in rule sets, expansions of like monsters and creatures, adventure.
This
and I think
next
that's a solid one.
Is my shit. I love this. We've got Planescape and Adventures in the Multiverse. A 3-book package that reintroduces the Planescape multiversal setting from 1994. Slipcase comes with 3 books: Sigil in the Outlands, Mort's Planar Parade, and Turn of Fortune's Wheel. And look at it. It's beautiful.
Good. It's very good.
It's beautiful.
It's very, very good.
Put all the toys in the same sandbox.
Yeah.
Do it, cowards.
That's what we're doing.
Do it, cowards.
One that people are maybe the most excited about is the Deck of Many Things. This is a collection of books and cards that expand upon the classic Magic item found in D&D. Obviously, there are like
Pour
the
one out for
physical-
Dazzle.
Yeah. Rip to Dazzle. This book is in her honor. The Deck of Many Things is fucking brutal. I think this is the first officially released Deck of Many Things card pack. There's been a lot of unofficial Deck of Manys.
A lot of beautiful ones.
Yeah, really, really cool. And then the card reference guide. I think that's going to be very, very fun. I love like the fun little D&D accessories. I loved the like Taroka decks. I love stuff like this. It feels like playing tarot with your characters' lives.
Yeah. It's fun. So that's a lot of good D&D that's coming.
That's all this year.
That's a lot.
That's all this year.
They are bringing it out.
Guys, it's already almost June, and that's all this year. That's in the next 6 months.
Wow.
That's so interesting. And I also understand the criticism of people being like, damn, that's a lot for me to be expected to buy within 6 months.
But I think that's always been the case. Like I remember, when 3 and 3.5 especially came out and they were flooding the shelves with content.
Yeah.
And people were just like, it's a lot. How can you own it all? You can't be expected to own it all. It's like, hey, nobody does. Nobody does.
You don't have to.
Get the ones that are exciting to you.
Yeah.
I
think that's just it, especially with things like this where it's like, hey, if you don't have the dragon book, that's all right. There's no rules in it. It's just lore.
Yeah, 3.5.
No giants?
Yeah. Kodoroku is saying, like 3 and 3.5 had like 2 books every month. It was like wild.
Fascinating.
It was like wild. Yeah. And as a guy, it was fine for me because as a guy who had nobody to play with, I would just go to the bookstore and flip through them.
Yeah. So you didn't have to have them.
You don't need to own them. Hey, that's if you don't have enough money to play Dungeons and Dragons, my advice to you is just don't have friends. That's what I did. And I could afford every Dungeons and Dragons I needed.
And also as a reminder, D&D Beyond has content sharing. So just find your one rich friend.
That's right.
Make one rich friend.
Get on that family share.
Get one wealthy friend to make a campaign for you on D&D Beyond.
That's right. Hey, speaking of things that are coming up soon.
What?
Let's talk about this Ubisoft open world Star Wars game. We haven't heard about it in a little while.
We haven't. Not essentially since announcement.
We've heard, I think, maybe even a little bit more about the David Cage one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But the open world Ubisoft Star Wars, sources are saying could be coming quicker than you think. It could arrive as early as March 2024.
Wow.
They've just been secretly plugging away at this thing.
And telling us nothing about it.
I love that. So this would be a particularly good thing for Ubisoft right now. They obviously last week announced their largest operating loss in history. It is not also unnoticed by us that this release rumor comes after that earnings call. A little leaked rumor that says good things are coming makes people hold on to that stock. You know what I mean?
Everything's gonna be coming up Ubisoft, we promise.
So we're looking at within 12 months, that would be Assassin's Creed Mirage, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, Skull and Bones? Maybe still Skull and Bones?
No,
come on.
Don't be ridiculous.
But also could be that open world Star Wars.
Very interesting. I hope that it is.
I hope so too. Now its codename is Project Helix. It's being developed with Massive. Massive is of course known for Division 1 and 2. Not my thing, but a lot of people love them. I'm not, once again, not a military guy.
Yeah.
Not a loot shooter guy, unless the loot shooter really, really, really appeals to me. But a lot of people really love the Division. And I will say the world design in Division was very nice.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what they do with Star Wars. And they also say that it's going to be a big departure and totally different from anything you've seen from Massive in the past. So Massive is sort of taking this as their their opportunity to flex their muscles and show off that they can do more things as a studio.
Right.
Which I think could be good for everyone.
Interesting. Flying Squirrel said, I'm excited to play Grand Theft Auto Coruscant.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Man, especially after Jedi Survivor.
Yeah.
Just seeing the state of Coruscant.
Yeah.
You know, and how it's like, how it's turned into seedy underbelly, cyberpunky. I love it. So sources tell Kotaku that Project Helix seems likely to include some form of interplanetary space travel. So not just open world, but open worlds.
Yeah.
Now, hopes are pretty high that the game could be Ubisoft's first non-Assassin's Creed blockbuster in some time. But they also say, these internal sources, that this fiscal year release is incredibly ambitious based on how far internal development has gotten. So they say like, yeah, sure, it could come out when we're saying that it's going to come out.
Yeah.
But I think one of those sources is hoping that by leaking how soon it's coming out, it'll make people kind of talk about and will make Ubisoft realize that they might be rushing it. You know?
Right.
All Ubisoft said, of course, is we don't comment on rumors or speculation. They've had a lot of cancellations lately. Yeah. Tons of cancellations. We know that there are 7 games that we didn't even hear about.
Yeah.
That were canceled.
And that's not including all the games that are just lost in the void.
Yeah.
Of could still be coming.
Skull and Bones?
Like Skull and Bones.
It went gold last fall and then it just disappeared. Avatar was supposed to come out last year. Obviously with the Avatar film.
Yeah. It's so funny. I hope that game comes out in another year.
Yeah.
In one more year. How funny would that be?
It would be hilarious. The Avatar game is going to come out in a year or two when the next Avatar movie is 7 years away.
Exactly. Because that's the thing. We know there will be another Avatar movie, but we know it's not going to be it couldn't be in less than 5 years. It couldn't be in less than 5 years. So it coming out in one more year, that's so funny. Just like 2 years after and 5 years before another.
That it gives me some real like 6th and 7th gen vibes. Like some vibes that we haven't had in a while where a licensed game comes out for a movie that either never happened or happened so long ago that everybody's forgotten about it. Awesome. I just love that. Obviously Ubisoft has their big showcase coming up on June 12th. Their not E3 showcase. And they're going to show off a bunch of stuff. You know, they also have a ton of mobile stuff in the works based on The Division and some other stuff. That hair has been bothering me all episode. So yeah, more Star Wars is always good for me.
Yes.
And more big budget AAA Star Wars is double good for me.
Yeah.
There was such a lack of AAA Star Wars games during the last trilogy of films that it broke my heart.
Name one Star Wars game you want that isn't already in development. Name a Star Wars game you want to exist.
A Star Wars game that I want to exist.
It can be a continuation of a game. It can be a remake of a game. It can be a new game.
I mean, look, if we're gonna talk about something like that, I think I'm waiting to see Skeleton Crew, and I would love a Skeleton Crew game where you're these different kids with different abilities that kind of like have to adventure together, and you have to use like all of their abilities in tandem. Like that would be very fun to me.
Yeah.
We still don't have a High Republic game where you can just be like Jedi of Jedis.
Yeah.
You know, Cal gets real close.
Yeah.
But I want to see massive Jedi on Jedi battles.
Yeah.
You know, I want us to go back to that like Jedi Academy time during Star Wars games, but with new tech and everything we've learned about games.
Yep.
That would be fun. And you know, like a spiritual sequel to Bounty Hunter that has Din Djarin.
Okay.
Would be great. A Mando game.
Yeah. That would be awesome.
I'd love any of that.
I was also going to say High Republic.
Yeah.
I think a High Republic game would be fucking awesome. But I'm also going to throw out there, I would like even a remake, but I would love for a continuation of Jedi Knight Jedi Academy.
Yeah.
I love that game. I know no one else really loves that game. Everyone likes that game. It was a good game.
Yeah.
But no one else is like, no one cares about that game. I get it. I do understand. It was a fine game to everybody else.
I think it was, that's how I feel. It was a fine game in the trilogy. Like, I thought it was fine. I could also, hey, I'd love to see the Star Killer come back. I know it's not canon anymore. It wasn't even canon then. But I'd love to see a Force Unleashed. Bring back the Star Killer, man.
Yeah.
You know what is coming back?
What?
In a big way and real soon. Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 1. And do you know how big Mortal Kombat 1 is going to be, Saige?
How big?
And I don't mean in terms of audience, because I question.
Okay.
I question the size of the Mortal Kombat audience these days. But here's what I will say. It's 100 gigs. It's 100 gigabits of Mortal Kombat.
What do you think's in that?
Spines.
Oh.
It's mostly spines.
Yeah?
Just spines and blood.
You turn people into babies?
Yeah, there's going to be babies in it.
Probably babies.
Probably baby spines.
I hope not.
Who knows? Steam page has been updated with the game's system requirements. And, PC and console sizes are not always 1-to-1. But Mortal Kombat is going to be 100 gigs. Now, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate Edition is 84 gigs already.
Wow.
How is it? How? How? Here's what I'm going to say. Something really made me think the other day. Tears of the Kingdom is the largest game Nintendo has ever made. Data size. It has the most data crammed in there of any game Nintendo's ever made. 16 gigs.
Little guy.
It's a little guy. Little guy. I feel like the art of essentialism in game development has really, really gone away and has gotten worse and worse every generation. Like, I'm not saying we need to fit games onto like 16 megabyte cartridges or whatever anymore. But like, damn, really think about whether you need 40 gigs of trees.
I don't know. We were just wondering. Do you?
Like, I don't know that I notice all 40 gigs of trees. I like to think I have a discerning eye.
Imp in my head said, goo goo ga fatality. If you're not actually familiar with the babalities, I highly recommend looking it up. There's a bunch of YouTube cuts of all of the babalities.
It's very good.
That's your goo goo gaga fatalities.
There's that.
Babalities.
There's the friendships. Mortal Kombat 1 actually is going to have Jean-Claude Van Damme as Johnny Cage. After 30 years of campaigning, the man is Johnny Cage.
That's funny.
How about that?
All right. I dig it.
It's all 40 of those gigs are for Van Damme. 40 of those gigs are for his thighs.
Yeah. That makes sense. Honestly, now I get it. Now I get why the game's 100 gigs.
Yeah.
You gotta get those thigh muscles right.
Listen, they're not just ropey, they're bendy.
Yep.
That's the trick with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Look, I don't know how to make that in a game.
No. It's gotta be at least 40 gigs.
That's gotta be at least 40 gigs. You did reference Tears of the Kingdom.
And then all the babies.
Right. That's the rest of it. You referenced Tears of the Kingdom.
I did, and I do every day.
That is genuinely very true.
Have you played any more Tears of the Kingdom yet?
I've been very busy, Anthony. I haven't been playing any games. I've been very busy.
Saige.
Yes, Anthony.
You gotta play Tears of the Kingdom.
I work like 100 hours a week.
Do you know who works 100 hours a week? Link. Saving Zelda.
Because you won't turn your Switch off.
And building Korok.
I think
Korok
Link,
launching devices.
I bet Link is working 100 hours a week on your Switch. Maybe you should give Link a break.
I just keep finding new things.
I know.
And they're surprising in so many ways.
Well, that's probably because the game didn't come out until it was actually good and done.
That's true.
Speaking about why Tears of the Kingdom was delayed, we know it was obviously supposed to come out last year. It got pushed into this month. Anuma said, it's all just polish. We just had to get the game right. And man, I really wish people would say that more often.
Yeah, apparently it was content locked in time for its original release date, but it wasn't feeling right. It wasn't feeling right. And they just wanted to jump on in there and make sure that the physics of the game were working, all of the new systems were working, everything felt good to do.
Yeah.
You know, every time they showed something, Andy Cortez said this on one of the Kind of Funny shows. I don't know. I don't watch Kind of Funny. I don't respect them and I don't like them. So who knows where he said this? It just popped up on my feed. Some garbage goblin probably was just talking about Kind of Funny because that's the kind of people that watch their shows. But Andy Cortez said that if you had asked him before Breath of the Wild came out or before Tears of the Kingdom came out, that it would beat Breath of the Wild in any way.
Yeah.
He was like, no.
Never.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
There's no way it would ever recreate any of those feelings. There's no way it could ever have that kind of like sense of wonder or surprise. But no, it does.
Yeah.
There are a million different things in that game that are new and interesting and different, even if they're just the tiniest bit different.
And I mean, and that's what that year of attention to detail leads to. That year delay that was just spent on getting the details right.
Yeah.
That's really fucking cool.
10 million copies in 3 days sold of Tears of the Kingdom, beating out Elden Ring and then putting it on par with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
God, Nintendo.
Yeah. And remember
God,
when we were looking at the top selling Nintendo games of all time during release week for Tears of the Kingdom, a lot of it was Pokemon. Zelda was a bit lower. And I think it always makes Zelda fans, it always humbles us into understanding our place in the universe.
In the Nintendo universe.
When we see how Zelda sells in comparison to like Mario Eats a Salad. Do you know what I mean? Like you could put out Mario Eats a Salad for the DS and it would only work on the new DS.
Yeah.
And it would sell more copies than Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
And so that really makes you think, and Metroid fans don't even get, we're when's Prime 4 coming out? I don't know. Maybe never. It doesn't matter. So when you really see like how much Zelda is selling, it lets you know where this game is at and how much the shift to this open world Breath of the Wild style has helped the game.
Well, continuing with some Nintendo news. Nintendo's also being sued for a bunch of money for really, really unfair loot boxes in Mario Kart. Was it Tour?
It was Mario Kart Tour, the mobile Mario Kart.
Yeah.
These are gone now, but they were part of it. There was showcase pipes.
Yep.
Showcase pipes, which is what they call me in a singing audition. You know what I mean? Hey, I have at least a 8-note range.
Nice.
Showcase pipes were basically like the highlighted items of the week or the month or the season or whatever.
Yeah.
And you had to put your Nintendo coins into the slot machine of showcase pipes. And they didn't even guarantee you would get one of these. It was the lootest of loot boxes. And they didn't even post the odds.
Yeah. What's most interesting about this to me is technically the lawsuit is coming from a child.
Yeah. It's coming from that cool baby that Saige took home from the amusement park. He's like, hey, you want to get out of here? I got Nintendo money coming.
Hell yeah. I'm a lawyer in the state of Virginia. So it says with backing from his father, a young gamer has filed a potential class action lawsuit over immoral microtransactions in Mario Kart Tour. So the suit calls for refunds for all minors in the US who paid for Mario Kart Tour's spotlight pipes, which Anthony just described. And they were available until last year where they could spend real money and just repeatedly activate them, hoping they'd get something useful.
I'm so sorry. I have a live Dagger update. He refuses. He just spent 2.5 minutes trying to sit in that corner just because there's something in that corner and he couldn't get there. And so he was like, that's the corner I want to be in. And he was just spinning around. And now look how unhappy he is.
Furious.
Look, he's just staring forward like this is not where I want to be sitting.
I can't believe I have to have this entire open 3/4 of the couch.
Look at this.
A fussy prince is correct.
Ugh. Anyway, back to Mario Kart.
The kid who's suing says that he spent $170 on Mario Kart Tour microtransactions on his father's credit card, which is linked to the Nintendo user account.
Hey, Dad, you got any games on your phone?
Hey, Dad, you got any games on your credit card?
Hey, Dad, is your credit card connected to your Apple account?
So it's very interesting. There's always the possibility with these kind of lawsuits to set a precedent, or there's always the possibility for a massive corporation to just absolutely step on it and forget about it. So we'll see.
Did the kid get what he wanted is what people are asking. And I believe the answer is no. The kid spent $170 and didn't get any. And that's the thing.
You don't sue if you got the thing you wanted.
The math behind, like I said, they never posted the odds. And these pipes are gone. You can now buy the items directly. But you know me, if I'm playing a game a lot, my rule is I'm going to put a little money into you. Yeah. If you're a free to play game, I'll give you $5. I'll give you $10. I put like $10 into Mighty Doom, which I'm done playing now because Zelda's out.
Sure, you've moved on.
But so if I put $5 or $10 into a game and I don't get anything,
I'm suing.
I sue every time.
Yeah.
I sue every goddamn time. But also, if I put like 5 or 10 in, I know that the odds are horrible.
Yeah.
Because that not only the odds horrible, but the programmers don't know what they're doing because they don't even throw you that first one. You know what I mean? So for me, I was like, whoa, this is bad. This is bad. Now, the thing about this suit is it has some implications. All of these suits do. Now, the FTC fined Epic Games for Fortnite. They fined them $520 million for using dark patterns to dupe players into making unintentional purchases. This is something that a lot of trade commissions in a lot of countries are trying to get rid of. These things that kind of trick you into feeling like you have to buy something or buying something without knowing that you're buying something. In March, a Canadian judge said that an attempted class action against EA's Ultimate Team was bound to fail in terms of an illegal gambling claim, but could proceed with allegations of deceptive practices. And then for years, the EU have considered whether whether Ultimate Team is illegal gambling. So there are a lot of big cases on the horizon that are going to change monetization in games, either for better or for worse.
Yeah.
If the EU and Canada cannot pin down FIFA, it is going, or find in favor of EA, that is going to up the level of loot boxes, deceptive marketing practices, and literal gambling that you're going to be able to see in games.
Very interesting.
So all of this is going to be huge.
I want to talk about some of these Windows 11 updates. I say as somebody currently booting 2 PCs to Windows 10.
Yeah, same.
Like new PCs.
Yeah, my laptop that has Windows 11 on it has been replaced for the show by this iPad.
So it's very interesting to see all of these things that didn't come out with Windows 11, but that are coming to Windows 11 like later this month. So I just want to talk about a few of them because some of them make me laugh. Because some of them are like, yeah, finally, right?
Yeah.
So first and foremost, the one that made me laugh is finally Windows is going to be able to open RARs. Oh my God.
Hey, literally everything opens RARs. The poor guy who does WinRAR is probably paying 8 times in bandwidth what he makes in income. Can somebody please get me the numbers on WinRAR? Because ain't nobody paying for WinRAR.
No.
I use PZip.
Sure. The fact that you couldn't just open a zip, you couldn't open a RAR is so fucking silly.
Dude, the way Windows handles file types is cuckoo bonkers to me.
Absolutely fuck bananas.
You cannot preview anything.
Nothing.
Anything.
No.
You better hope your image is a JPEG if you want a preview of it in the file pane.
If you've got a PNG, I'll think about it.
I'll think about it. Video in the file pane?
No, tastes bad.
I'm telling you, there's no integration of anything in Windows, but there will be integration of RGB gear.
Coming to Windows 11 later this month, you'll be able to control your RGB gear natively without having to install all of those individual apps that pop up when you boot your computer and make it take a long time to get started.
Now, here's what I'm going to say. I like this.
Yeah, I'm into this.
I like this because everything has RGB on it, and it's so obnoxious. My RAM has RGB on it.
Yep.
I didn't even want RAM with RGB on it, but it was cheaper. It was the same RAM, but it was a little cheaper. So I bought it. And now I have to have an RGB app for the RAM because the RAM is made by one company. And then I have to have an RGB app for my cooler because my cooler's made. And all I want to do with these apps is fucking turn the light off.
Yeah.
I don't want any lights coming out of my PC at all.
I
need 7 apps to turn off the lights on my PC. I set up my smart home faster than I set up my PC to turn off lights.
There's a line in the Twilight books where Stephanie Myers describes Bella sitting down on her computer and a million pop-ups opening every time she tries to open the browser.
Yes.
It's just because Stephanie Meyer had viruses.
And it's a core memory for you because I feel like you've brought it up before.
I bring it up all the time. It's my favorite thing. But that's the experience of having RGB on your computer. Every time you boot it, it's like 18 apps, and you're like, I kept telling you not to open on launch. Why do you open on launch?
Oh.
Why do you refuse to not open on launch? And every one of them is like,
these apps that are just like, well, there's an update available. It's like, if I install the update, if I set you to auto update, are you gonna trash all my preferences and boot up with my PC again? No. We don't track. No. Well, never. I would never do. No, just install me.
No.
It's like, no, I'm not going to update you because I don't feel like you're good. Then I stop worky. What? Then I stop worky.
And if I don't worky, nothing worky.
And if I don't worky, then all lights go on. It's like, okay, then I'll update you. I start with boot. I am part of boot now.
Me and boot the same.
You told me you wouldn't be part of boot. I do a lie to you because you don't pay attention to me.
So I boot.
If you pay enough attention to me, I would not have to do this. You force me to be deceptive.
You force me to be boot.
Yo, the EA app. Yeah, fuck the EA app.
Yeah.
Straight fuck the EA app. Jedi Survivor, it was just like, you're just gonna need the EA app. And it's just like,
you have to, because otherwise you can't have the game.
I was like, I must not buy anything by EA anymore or Ubisoft because I haven't seen their apps in forever. I installed Jedi Survivor and it was like, EA app.
Now.
It's just, okay, well, all right, if you need to run, you can open when I open Jedi Survivor. I open now.
I open at boot.
I open at boot. You need to log into me again. Why? I logged into you before. Log in again. Because security. No, but that's...
No one else is using this.
No one else is... Well, our servers are bad. Log in again. I want to play this game on my Steam Deck. Sorry, I'm a pop-up window.
The biggest update coming to Windows 11 is they're murdering Cortana. Cortana is being dragged out in front of you all and fucking murdered.
Good, because she's evil
Beheaded.
now. She's evil. Turned her evil. Do you know why they turned her evil? Because she doesn't work. Came with Windows 10, didn't work.
What they're getting is Windows Copilot instead, which is an AI-based personal assistant.
Same. Same,
different name.
Man, Windows Build, I watched like the cut down, The Verge does those really good cut downs of events.
Yeah.
I watched The Verge Microsoft Build in 5 minutes, and I swear to God, it was 100 times saying Chat GPT.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they are trying to integrate Chat GPT into Windows, and then by integrating Chat GPT, they're trying to integrate Bing. It's like, yo, number one, you have to stop saying Bing. You have to stop doing it.
You have to stop talking about Bing.
You have to let it go, man. You have to stop saying Bing. That's ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous when we say it. It sounds ridiculous when you say it.
Yeah.
You have to stop saying Bing.
Yeah.
But they're like, now when you open up Windows Help, Copilot with ChatGPT is gonna open up, and you're gonna say, if you can ask it, how can I set up my computer to focus more on my work? And it'll say, oh, well, what about dark mode? And I'll put up a focus timer for you. And you'll be like, cool. Can you stop this app from opening at boot? No, I cannot. Let's search Bing for that.
Let me see if I can find something on Bing. You have to log into EA first, though.
Let me just Bing that on Friendster.
Let me just Bing it real quick.
Can I just Bebo that?
There was actually a couple of other pieces. I'm just going to quick reference of related AI news. Photoshop. God, Adobe's Firefly AI features. Here's one of those where I'm like, hey guys, not all AI is a terrible thing. Look at this shit.
Yeah,
Look at this shit.
So
look at this shit.
When they announced Firefly, they announced it at first with the fact that it will be able to generate new art. And that is not the way to go.
No.
They said it was going to generate new art, and we were like, where does this new art come from? And they were like, Adobe stock. And we're like, who made the art on Adobe stock? Right. This is straight up bonkers. Now, the full generation of the Wet Alley at Night.
Terrible.
That's one of those things that is from Adobe stock, and I do not agree with that.
Yeah.
But the AI removal of things, the AI, now they've had some of these AI tools in the last couple versions.
Yeah.
Things where it will auto mask hair. It will auto mask subjects. They had to add this stuff because mobile apps were doing it better.
Yeah.
Stuff like this where it's generating entire art, skies, things like that on the fly.
Yeah.
I want to know where they're sourcing this stuff. The problem is most people won't.
Yeah.
Most people will just go, hey, do a sky now.
I will say, I think Jelly PB is referencing something. In the beginning, I think there wasn't an option for artists in the Adobe stock library to opt out. I think that there is now.
I believe they've added it, but here's the thing. They've trained the model.
Yeah.
So if you've opted out of further training from the model, but have you, that model's trained.
I don't want to say that.
Is it retroactive? Like, that's my big question.
That's a question. Don't make it as a statement.
I'm not making a statement.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, that model is trained. It's replacing things.
Yeah.
Is that model updating in real time to remove the art of artists who opt out? Or is it that you're opting out of the training of the next model?
Yeah.
And then also, when it comes to the opt out, did Adobe contact artists to let them know the opt out process was available?
We don't know. We don't have that information.
Do the artists have to look and see?
Yeah. I don't want to keep just like speculating on it.
No.
We don't know.
No. And this isn't speculation. These are questions.
Yeah.
These are important questions that have to be answered. I don't have the answers.
Yeah.
But when I see a video like this,
that's the questions that come to mind.
And everybody goes, ooh, ah, I go, ooh, ah, ooh.
Yeah.
I go, ooh, ah, eep.
Yeah. Curious to see.
Ooh, ah, oh.
Adobe, we're all Adobe users. I don't know, man. I don't know the information. Last piece of AI news is Amaranth is using an AI chatbot to let fans go on dates with her.
Now, this is great.
This is going to be fucking fascinating and a little bit terrifying.
This is great. Of course, once again, nice. Once again, the implications. But this is actually very cool. The idea that it's like, I've trained this on all of my conversations. I've trained it on my voice. It will talk to you the way I would talk to you. It's not me. Have fun. I mean, this is basically people who install, like the AI waifus.
Right.
And these like AI chatbots and lovebot have been things in Japan and in Asia for a long time. They've come over here. They become big. What was that? What was the name of that mobile app where they had to remove the sexiness?
Yeah.
Because it was weird,
I'm worried about the Westworld-esque implications of this for certain.
Of course.
I agree absolutely with Brendix in the chat. What are these people going to do when they know that they're just talking to a bot? How does this affect the way that they interact with actual women in the world?
Yes.
Parasocial is already a thing. People already have this. Well, this is how I interact with a woman I don't know on the internet. I'm willing to say this to you in your Twitch chat and your comments and your DMs, but it affects the way that you talk to me in real life.
Your AI and I are such good friends. That means you and I would be such good friends.
And even in addition to that, if you're like, I know this is AI, I know this doesn't mean that I know Amaranth, but I get to feel the feeling of talking to Amaranth like this every day.
Yes.
That's going to affect how you talk to other women also.
Yes.
I worry about the implications of that. I think it could be very frightening. And it's only because the way that we have built a society to socialize men is so fundamentally disgustingly wrong that we can't be trusted with a fucking AI chatbot. This should be a thing that she should be able to do and to be able to expand her business with, provide companionship with. This should be a thing that could be done healthily and is done much more healthily in Japan, in Asia, where the socialization of men is different in the way that they interact with real life women.
Sure. Yeah.
Statistically.
Literally
get down to the statistics of violence against women.
The statistic of violence of stuff. Whether you could argue when you say, I mean, healthier, yes, because we're starting from this bar.
I'm not saying it's healthy.
But healthier, sure.
Yes.
But it's not.
We look at the way that
we haven't figured out a way to do it healthily.
No, never.
Anywhere.
Absolutely not.
But at the same time, we are saying, very smart, get that bag.
Get that fucking bag, Amaranth. We're always saying very smart, get that fucking bag, Amaranth. 100% of the time. I think that that's very interesting. I am terrified.
I am super terrified as well. Hey, do you know what might make you feel better here in these last moments of the show? A Good Burger 2 is happening.
Good Burger 2 is officially in production.
There they are. They're on set. And it looks like it looks like maybe Keenan's moved up to manager of the Good Burger. He's not in the uniform.
He doesn't look like a manager. He doesn't look like he works there.
Maybe he doesn't work at the Good Burger anymore.
Could be his day off, I suppose.
Wow. A post that creates more questions than answers. Who knows what's happening at the Good Burger?
A franchise owner? Ooh.
It could be anything.
Gasp. I'm very excited. That sounds excellent. I'm sure that we are many moons away from seeing this movie if it's just now getting into filming, but it's a great clip and everyone looks great in it.
It looks great. Hey, also,
yeah.
Shout out to Kel Mitchell posting these guns. Wait, where'd they go? There they are.
Nice. And hey, that's all the show that we have time for. So happy to leave you on that positive note. Thank you very much for starting your morning with us. Of course, we do this show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at exactly 9 a.m. If it is not 9 a.m. when we start, that's on you. That's on your clock. We probably did it right, and you are wrong.
That's right. And on days where you think you didn't see the show, what did you do wrong?
What did you do wrong?
What did you do wrong?
What did you do wrong? We're going to go through and we're going to thank everyone that supported us during the show today. There's a lot of ways to support us. The number one way is showing up and watching. That's the best thing that you can do. It's very cool. It's what we make the show for. But there's also things that are helpful in helping us eat. Things like donations during the show go straight to us. That's the way that we get paid for the show and making sure that we can pay our bills a little bit.
That's right.
Partially, even some. You can do things like subscribe, support the Patreon. Are we going back to Dagger Cam? You can do things like subscribe and support the Patreon to keep the studio as a whole running, and we appreciate it so very, very much. Anthony, when you're not here, where are you?
In Hyrule, mostly.
Honestly.
But you can find me everywhere on the internet at A Carboni, except for here on Twitch where I'm at Anthony Carboni.
You can find me everywhere on the internet at Not Saige. I stream on my channel on days. I'll probably do like a TikTok stream or something later.
Bye, BBs.
A little jump. Okay, goodbye. We love you. Bye.
Bye.